Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. In this video we are going to have a look at symptoms of a bad fuel pump. There are different types of fuel pumps. Some are mechanically operated and some of them are electrically operated. The mechanical fuel pumps are usually driven by the camshaft and they are mounted in line, whereas an electrical fuel pump is generally located inside the fuel tank, and it will start functioning as soon as you turn the engine on, and you may hear it whirring sound when the ignition switch is turned on. If the electric fuel pump is functioning nicely, you might hear a whirring sound coming from the fuel tank. The pump is there to pressurize the fuel and push it through the piping and supply it to the fuel system. When the fuel pump is working well, your engine will start quickly and run with remarkable performance. With insufficient fuel, however, your engine will start to run poorly. When no fuel is supplied, your engine will suddenly stop and will not restart until pumping is restored. Now, how can we tell if there is a problem with the fuel pump? Let's have a look at some of the top symptoms of bad fuel pump. One is engine sputtering. If the vehicle starts to run rough and possibly die, the engine might not be getting enough fuel. The sputters indicate that your engine is being starved of necessary fuel, and starvation could be caused by a clogged or failing fuel pump. Your fuel pump does not stop pushing gas through the engine once you have started the vehicle. It also pumps gas to meet your vehicle's speed demand. If the pump cannot produce a constant stream of gas at higher speed, your vehicle will sputter and threaten to stall. Sputters can also indicate other problems, but usually sputtering is associated with intermittent or insufficient fuel supply, which is caused by bad fuel pump. 2. Power loss. Your engine might not sputter, but you will lose power under certain circumstances. For example, imagine that you are driving up a steep hill and all of a sudden you lose power. This is a sign the fuel pump might not be transferring enough fuel to the engine and it cannot handle the hill stress. If you test your vehicle's limit, whether it be hard driving or hauling extra weight and power cutoffs, it might be a symptom that the fuel pump cannot keep up with the driver's demand. If car dies under heavy load, that could be an indication of failing fuel pump. 3. Surging engine, where there is inconsistent and unintended acceleration and deceleration. If the amount of fuel is not properly regulated by the fuel pump, a car could accelerate without input due to an overage of fuel. On the other side, it might not be getting enough fuel. Ups and downs in fuel flow can cause surge in power. The car will want to accelerate, followed by slowdown, and then try to accelerate again and repeat this cycle. This behavior can be very risky, especially in a crowded highway. If the fuel supply from the fuel pump is not consistent, engine speed might go up and down unintentionally, and this surge in power can be an indication of bad fuel pump. 4. Gas mileage decrease. If you notice your vehicle is suddenly gulping more gas than usual, the fuel pump could be damaged and sending the incorrect amount of fuel. If the fuel pump is sending too much fuel to the engine, you will notice your vehicle isn't getting the gas mileage it normally gets. So track your mileage to stay on top of fuel efficiency. A drop in fuel efficiency could be attributed to a dying fuel pump. So sudden increase in fuel mileage, sudden increase in fuel consumption could be an indication of bad fuel pump. 5. Difficulty starting. If your vehicle's fuel pump cannot get gas from the fuel tank to the engine as soon as the ignition switch is turned on, you will have trouble starting your car. The car will struggle to start and run because the pump cannot push enough fuel. A worn fuel pump loses its pressure and the engine is being starved of gasoline. So difficulty starting can be an indication of bad fuel pump. And number 6, total refusal of start. If your car won't start at all, that could be an indication of a bad fuel pump. Well, there are plenty of things that could prevent the car from starting, but lack of fuel is one of the first things to check. If the fuel pump can't send enough fuel to the engine, it will not start. If the fuel pump gets clogged or if it dies, it cannot transfer gas to the engine. When this happens, you won't be able to start your car. The problem could also be clogged fuel line, but bad fuel pump that is not sending fuel to the engine can prevent the engine from starting at all. 7. Engine misfire. Lack of fuel can also be a cause for engine misfire, because misfires can eventually damage your engine. Correcting the related fuel pump problem as soon as possible is very important. 8. Hesitant acceleration. If your vehicle previously were accelerating nicely and all of a sudden starts to hesitate when trying to accelerate, that could be an indication of a faulty fuel pump. So hesitant acceleration indicates that the fuel pump is going bad. 9. On some engines, the check engine light will come on. The glowing check engine light can also tell a fuel pump problem. In general, when the fuel pump is in trouble, your car may start acting abnormally, leading to vibration and jerky ride, and that vibration and unusual jerky ride could trigger the check engine light. So check engine light illumination can also sometimes be indicative of a faulty fuel pump. 10. Excessive noise or whine from the fuel pump or from the tank. A fuel pump in a modern fuel-injected car should not be audible at all. Electrical fuel pumps live inside the fuel tank where they are surrounded by fuel. When the fuel pump begins to fail, it gets louder and louder and louder. If there is a problem with the electric motor driving the fuel pump, that noise will gradually increase. Damaged fuel pump might make a loud whining sound that you will hear from your gas tank. The pump may also make this noise if you are low on fuel or if the fuel in the tank is contaminated. The normal noise your pump makes is low hum. Loud whining indicates that there is a problem with the fuel pump. And the other symptom is like number 11, engine overheating. There are cases where engine overheating is sometimes associated to dying fuel pump. If your fuel pump is dying, it might overheat, and this heat causes your engine to overheat as well. An overheat caused by the fuel pump will stall out the engine. Should the fuel pump fail to provide the proper amount of gas to the engine could be overstressed, which could cause an irregular rise in temperature. So sometimes overheating is associated with damaged fuel pump. And finally, low fuel pressure can be an indication of dying fuel pump. Install a fuel pressure gauge on the fuel line and then compare the fuel pressure delivered by the fuel pump to the recommended fuel pressure in the owner's manual. Low fuel pressure can be an indication of dying fuel pump, or it can be an indication of a clogged fuel line somewhere in the system. So these are some of the top symptoms that indicate a faulty fuel pump. A faulty or bad fuel pump can make your car to stutter and stumble, and you will hear excessive whining from the fuel pump. And always remember that when the fuel tank is always low, the fuel can become superheated, especially if you are driving in a bumper-to-bumper idle in hot weather. That can cause overheating. This is a fuel pump killer. So make sure that at least there is fuel tank is halfway full, prolonged fuel pump life. Well, dear viewers, that is all we have for you in this video. If you like what has been presented, please smash the like button and do consider subscribing if you are new here. And we'll see you in another video. Until then, stay safe.